Hello, we are Group 13 for FutureGov, consisting of myself, Mathilda, Sandra, Aarushi, Lucy, Lily and Rose, and we're focusing on understanding data and space through a bodied, rhythmic set of methods. We explored placeness through examining the movement and flow of Oxford Circus, ultimately creating a method to choreograph the soft city to the body, done through taking our observations out of context, abstracting them, and then giving them a physical form. From our midway presentation, we got the feedback to, firstly, be more critical of the data that we collected. Secondly, to avoid flattening, as our video collage didn't give a sense of the busy Oxford Circus that we all know as Londoners and kind of anticipate as being a very hectic place. And finally, the need to relativise the video with another to see the contrast between the two places. We found that the DNA of a place can be found in the impact of its rhythm on our movements, dictated by factors unique to that location. Our body's reaction to the space essentialises the effect that a place has. To distinguish a site, we found that you need to choose the recurring, quintessential features of it. This is not flattening, but essentialising. In order to understand Oxford Circus, we had to compare it to a distinctly different site. Oxford Circus illustrates the mass movement of people and the relentless pace of London. In reality, layers of systems, rules and idiosyncrasies forge an almost oppressive rhythm, forceful enough to control the immense foot traffic. We also found with the site that we contrasted with that New Cross Road is heavy in traffic. Similarly, there's a consistent flow of cars, buses and ambulance, yet the surrounding space is slow. No building higher than a few stories, no people walking underground. Businessmen are swapped for students, flagship stores swapped for small businesses, and tourist exchange for locals. We collected data from these sites, and to critically understand it, we identified two different forms. Quantitative or hard data in the form of numbers such as open data sources like data.uk.gov, and then qualitative or soft data, which was in the form of poems, sounds, and our own observations collected on site. To understand the data further, we created a spectrum of data points that were culturally generic and those that were culturally specific to the site. On the left, as you can see, are the more common, non-specific factors, whereas on the right are the more niche elements that we discovered. The scale also enabled us to measure and control our data collection and translate it in order to compare it on different sites. We designed 3 methods to unpick the data that we collected: displacement, abstraction, and data sonification.
Displacement, the act of moving something from its place or position. Our first method is to displace the bodies of a place. Each building, bus and train has untapped conversations with rhythmic flows that go unnoticed. The rhythm is designed and enforced by our route. Our movements are moulded by the environment as we sync with the architecture that surrounds us. What happens when we remove the infrastructure? By doing this, we isolate the body and take it out of context. We started by drawing out the layers of London with its infrastructure stripped down. This highlights the multi-tiered system, allowing us to understand the role of the body in a new dynamic. Figures operate on different planes, one on top of another, walking underground and sitting in the sky. The body language becomes strange, accentuating the unspoken rules our environment sets. The invisible forces propelling us through the city are more obvious when they are stripped away. The next thing we did was embody the characteristics of the site to understand the space through a bodied experience. We took pictures and cropped out the background to focus on the body. Through collaging, we recontextualised the bodies. Putting these characters back into where they usually exist allowed us to realise how much these social scripts are ingrained within us. Even though we replicated it from memory, the image looks very natural. We also reimagined these movements and placed them into different spaces. Certain figures look strange when situated on a park bench. However, it worked particularly well in a club scene. Hands holding the tube rail became a new dance move. We also looked further into the multi-tiered system through collaging. The image resembles an architectural section drawing, focusing on the body instead of concrete. With this, we look at the site as a whole, unbounded by gravity. The next step was to investigate this three-dimensionally. Using Rhino 3D's perspective display mode, we replicated Oxford Circus. We placed figures waiting for the tube, riding the escalator, buying tickets in the station, walking on street level, and sitting in double-decker buses in a boundless space. This exposed the system. We wanted the figures to move and come alive, add texture to the characters through subtle nuances. Commuters are programmed into this rhythm, squeezing past someone's legs to get to a seat, pressed against a stranger's armpit during peak hours, and swaying from side to side to keep balance. So we decided to perform it. We compiled all the performances into a video collage. This way, we are able to see all the social scripts play out across the multi-tiered system simultaneously. The repetitive use of the clips creates a rhythm and produces a soundtrack to the seemingly choreographed movements.
We have displaced the bodies out of Oxford Street. However, it's up to you to explore this method. Displace other factors of a site. Displace bodies, objects, systems. Take it out of context. Play with locations, scale, mediums. Draw, collage, film, animate.
Abstraction is the act of taking away or separating. We found that through abstraction, the chaos of the space can be converted into a reliable set of actions. With little variation, they are repeated with predictable speed and form. We were inspired by some choreographic videos, which use bodily movements to create graphics. This is a video of William Forsyth using his body to create lines. How do we choose the gestures? After observing the spaces, we decided on a collection of culturally specific gestures for New Cross and Oxford Circus. These are subjective choices which for us optimise Oxford Circus through shopping bags, hailing a taxi, and evening stand in newspapers. For New Cross, the specifics were chicken bones, stickers, and sirens. Taking inspiration from Displacement, we reenacted the gestures out of context to concentrate on the movement. Using animation, we followed the lines made in each gesture, producing a graphic shape. These graphics are the most abstracted form of the movements. We were trying to summarise them as vectors and forces that our bodies create within a space, translating movement into data form. Appearing, disappearing, and moving through the screen-like musical notation, our gestures can be organised into a rhythm. A suggested guide to choreograph gestures. 1. Make your gesture or collection of gestures within a certain tempo or rhythm. 2. Think about the shape of your gesture. Is your composition organic, geometric, symmetric, or asymmetric? How does your representation of placeness relate or define this? 3. What are your dynamics of your gestures? Certain accents within your gestures could represent or highlight greater emphasis than others. This could be influenced by weight, fluidity, or timing. And 4. The scale of your gesture. How could your use of this space influence this?
Data sonification is the use of non-speech audio to convey information and perceptualize data spatially or temporally. Numbers are turned into scales of pitches, volume, rhythms, and the like. Despite the high influx of people, Oxford Circus sounded clear, with the feeling that sound bounced off the glass window displays. New Cross sounded grainier, crunching on chicken bones while walking along the A2. It wasn't New Cross without a police or ambulance sirens being heard, and it wasn't Oxford Circus without the sound of a crisp paper bag. All these feelings were data too, and we wanted to capture that. We looked at Burial's music and how he spatially captured London, even London buses after a night out. We looked at data sonifications by scientists like Mark Ballora. He created audio samples of phenomenons like solar winds using data points to envision them better spatially. Influenced by our references, we constructed our own method to sonify the chosen sites. This entailed 8 steps. 1. Pick the sites. We picked Oxford Circus and New Cross. Greater contrast between the sites gave a more tangible relativization of sound. 2. Set the flows. Culturally generic flows, or CGFs, were the flows of footfall, noise, internet speed, and traffic. Culturally specific flows, or CSFs, were black cabs, newspapers, and shopping bags for Oxford Circus, and they were stickers, chicken bones, and sirens for New Cross. 3. Collect data. We collected CGFs through open data sources including data.gov.uk, and we collected CSFs ourselves, counting the occurrences of black cabs in Oxford Street and chicken bones in New Cross. 4. Assign sounds. We assigned sounds that matched the CGFs, like a synth for internet speed. We recorded sounds for CSFs, like the grabbing of newspaper. Sounds were recorded at both sites at the same time of the day. 5. Assign ratios. While comparing two sites, each flow was reduced to its simplest numeral form, as a ratio. For example, 1:2.5 for internet speed between Oxford Circus and New Cross. 6. Apply ratios. We apply the respective ratios to the sound picked for each flow. This could be to the frequency, transpose, or any setting of an audio file. For example, frequency of 242.4 Hz for Oxford Street and the frequency of 606 Hz for New Cross, both about internet speed. 7. Arrange the track. The CGF sounds run throughout the track with modulations wherever necessary. The CSF sounds appear at times in accordance with the data collected. For example, 4 chicken bones appearing per minute. 8. Listen and compare. Sometimes sounds selected don't work well together and they need to be edited. This is only one iteration of sonification. Although assembling the track manually was integral to capturing nuances in sound, looking at sonification softwares like Super Collider could be a next step. Comparing sounds at day and night for the same site is another avenue we want to explore. The data and ratios could be translated into other mediums like light, color, and texture. To summarize our project, first, we collected data. Then, we used the methods we designed to unpick the data. This left us with an alternative data experience. Through this, we gained an empathetic understanding of a place.
So, what if we had more time? During this project, we've become more empathetic to the places we explored. The act of collecting numerical data is a part of the hard city. By translating it using our methods, we create the soft city. If we were able to spend more time on this project, and outside of these current circumstances, we'd love for other people to try out our methods through running workshops. We would also create a library of different cities or places that are often overlooked, using information collected by users. Through our refined methods, we aim to create an alternative data experience that serves the individual user. Acting as an empathy tool, our methods of data collection and abstraction operate in both digital and analog realms. The user is allowed free rein to transform flattened data into a personal testament to the space that they are exploring. That's all from us. We hope to see you soon.